What is up, YouTube? Your boy RyShiv back today. The video I'm going to be bringing you guys today is one that's very highly requested over on my Twitch channel. I'm always having people come in and say, how does your console look so good? My console doesn't look like this. And just for my sensitivity and settings in general, I have been playing on console again for the last, give or take, a month. Still dropping nukes almost every single night. Did the rebirth nuke, 30 bombs. We're doing it all still on console. So I'm just going to walk you through my settings today, so that if you are curious to what I'm using and you want to match them, you have them all available to you right here. I'm going to start with my controller, which I do use a PS5 Nagashot controller with a Control Freak on the right stick. So when I'm playing, it's like that, my right stick. Mouse click triggers on the back for R2, L2, and then 2 buttons on the back, normal default layout for those buttons. Back to the game settings. I do play tactical, so I slide with my R3. I push the stick into slide. Moving on from that, I'm just going to go down the line for you guys, unless it's something I feel I need to go more in depth on, like dead zones. Dead zones, I have my left stick on 3, max 89, right stick 7, and right stick max is 98. This is honestly controller dependent. You don't want to go too high. Honestly, you want to go as low as possible until you start to get some stick drift. I don't mind a little stick drift, so I leave it as low as I possibly can, that it's not super messed up. You don't want to go too high because you're basically giving yourself input lag. There was a point in Caldera I was playing on 30 dead zone, and when I switched to a new controller, it was night and day. It felt like a completely different sensitivity and everything. So you definitely want to keep it low because it is a lot more responsive as far as the minimums go. Moving on to aiming, I do play 7.7 sensitivity with an ADS multiplier. Let me scroll down to that for you guys. Custom sensitivity per zoom is on, and on my iron sights and stuff like that, I use a 0.85. But then when I'm sniping, you can see the higher zooms are at 1. So that's what I use when I'm playing on console. On PC, I do use a little bit different sensitivity just because controller overclocking and stuff like that. But these are my console sensitivities. Let me go back up to the aim assist section, or to the response curve rather, where we have dynamic response curve. All this I leave the same. I don't change any of this. I know you can mess with the scale of it, but I don't want to do that. It just seems a bit too wonky for me. I'm more of a plug and play type of guy, so I want to change this as little as possible. Aim assist on, obviously, and then I use default aim assist. I do play on auto attack sprint, and I'm gonna just keep going down the list pretty quick for you guys. One thing to note is I do play on slide only. A lot of people are playing on hybrid now that they put it in the game, but me personally, I death grip my controller. Basically what hybrid is it allows you to dive by sliding while pushing in your sprint stick, but I'm always just death gripping it and pushing it in, so I'm just diving around too much on accident. I prefer the slide only. And then there's a bunch of different settings here, basically I play apply 1 for plates, but I know a lot of people play apply all. I never adjusted. I never changed it. So I just, another thing, I didn't want to mess with it if I never changed it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep on going down the list here. Nothing too crazy. Pretty basic settings here. Moving on to graphics. This is what a lot of people want to see, is on-demand texture streaming. Have that off. If you have this on, you're going to get lag, packet loss. I think this is a terrible thing to have on, so instantly that's the first thing I turn off, along with world motion blur and weapon motion blur. Terrible things to have. We're not filming a movie. Take them off. Film grain also, it literally makes your game look like 240p. Depth of field off, rather, to keep that off. And then fidelity cast is on. I put mine all the way to 100. That sharpens up the game, makes it look a lot better. So I just crank that to the max. I am on PS5, so it can handle it pretty well. Eco mode preset off. Make sure if you are on the next gen consoles, you have 120 hertz refresh rate turned on. If not, it's going to be bad for you. You want that 120 hertz. Turn that on. I play on 109. I feel like 120 is just a little too hard for me to see. I don't know if, I mean, I got the glasses. I don't know if my eyes are getting old already, but 120, I can't see a thing. Sometimes even on 109, I'm like getting real close and squint. So I play 109. I keep that the same in multiplayer. I know a lot of people vary from multi to Warzone, but I just leave it all the same. Least camera movement for both first and third person. Inverted flashbang is optional. Like, I leave it on, or I leave it off rather. Turning it on, basically, it just makes it seem like your monitor turned off for a second when you get flashed, but flashes really aren't much of an issue in this game, I've noticed. as much as they were in the past, so I just leave that as is. Brightness, I play on 50 brightness, right in the middle. Good enough to see the dark corners, but not enough to whitewash the game. So I feel like it's a pretty good place to be. Here's one that's huge that I really like is I move my safe area all the way in, and what that does for me is it's going to move my mini map from all the way in the top left, and it moves it closer to the center of my screen, and it makes it easier to just look at it quickly. And also all your HUD is basically moved in, so it's not, you don't have to look as far to the corners to see everything that you're looking for. So I like that a lot. Moving on to audio, for console you want to either use TV or soundbar. To me, I don't really have the best hearing, so it's kind of, I just leave it on TV. If it sounds a little bit better to me, as far as just, it doesn't hurt my ears as much. I think the soundbar, if you want to really hear the things, is probably a bit louder, but I'm chilling on TV. I think it's good enough for console audio. And then master game volume, I just turn the voices all the way down, music all the way down, and I leave the effects and master at 100. Voice chat, this I vary up and down depending on how much I want to hear people raging and stuff like that. And then prox chat, all that stuff you keep on. Pretty simple settings here, nothing too crazy in the audio side of things. Reduce tinnitus sound on, that makes it so it's not ringing as bad in your ear. If you do get stunned or flashed, it's not ringing as bad, and it's more of a dull sound. So I keep that on. And then Juggernaut music off again. I don't want to hear any music while I'm playing. To the interface part of things, there's going to be a few things to change in here that aren't default. I go to color customization, and then you go down below this part to color filter settings, and you want to pick filter 2 and set it on on both. It has world interface and both. You want to put it on both. It lightens up your game and makes it a lot more vivid. And I had it turned down originally to about 75-80, but I cranked it up to 100 for world intensity, and it makes a bunch of difference. And you can kind of play with this setting depending on what your monitor looks like. But for me, 100 is definitely the best and makes the game look the best. Minimap, you got to be playing on square. You get like 90% more coverage. Probably not 90, but you know what I mean. Look at the square versus the circle. You're getting so much more coverage on the square. If you're on the circle, you're playing yourself. I'm gonna just keep going through these. I do play with the little crosshairs, the center dot on. I just go on the larger one, the middle of the three. The default, kind of too hard to see. You don't even really notice it, but the big one is just kind of obnoxious to me, at least. It is distracting, but I can play with the larger one on, and it helps me just stay centered and reminds me to keep centering, because usually into longer grinds, I'll start to get lazier and lazier about centering as the day goes on. And then you just keep going through these lists. Nothing too crazy. I keep my latency on and my packet loss on, so I know if the server is going to be playable or not. And I recently did turn on the clock just so I can know how late it really is, or early, because I've been grinding overnights a lot. And that is basically that as far as the in-game settings go. Obviously, I play crossplay on, stuff like that. One thing you definitely want to make sure you do change within the actual PlayStation settings is that you're not playing on this HDR down here. It makes the game look terrible. I don't know what the big hype about HDR is. I don't really even know what it does, but when you have this on, the game looks awful. So if you have this on, definitely turn off HDR. And that's really the last thing you got to do. So you got my Rebirth nuke skin right there. You know, I got my nuke camos. Like I said, we're doing it all on console lately. That's going to be it for the settings video, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure you hit that like button. If you are using any of my settings, make sure you comment down below and let me know what you think of them. And if you're new here, hit that sub button. We're going to try to get back on this YouTube content grind, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.